If you have questions or suggestions for future podcasts, please submit them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Proof that men are not angels. Hi, I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. Yeah, that quote from James Madison in Federalist Paper number 51 is an appropriate introduction to today's podcast. In a fallen world, every organization has a control system. Today's podcast is a case study about a small commune that tried to live without a control system. They found they were not angels, so some exercise of power is necessary. Christiana is an island in the middle of Copenhagen, where hippies sought to escape the power of the man and live without laws. It didn't work. Ginger and I only sailed by it during one of our visits. Next time, I'll walk across the bridge and take a closer look. But for now, most of my information is based on the article titled 8 Things to Know About Christiana, Copenhagen's Freetown, by Danielle Kirk. The alternative community originally sprang up in 1971 after a group of hippies turned an abandoned military base into a home. Since then, it's evolved into a community with almost 1,000 members. Now, I'm going to share about 30 ways in which Christiana confirms the fallen nature of humans by forcing their people to live under more powerful laws than you would find just across the bridge in Copenhagen. Number 1, you may have noticed I use the term members. Huh? Well, what does membership mean? To become a member, you must submit to questions by a committee. Hold it. People make fun of Baptists for having a committee on committees. So the hippies in Christiana have a higher developed committee structure than the Baptists? Okay. When Ginger and I moved to Texas, we didn't have to go before a membership committee. Gosh. Number 2, discriminatory and non-diverse. So what kind of questions are asked to these potential members? You have to think they accept people who are only like them. Isn't that the purpose of just about all memberships, from the Heisman Trophy to your local bridge club? One accepts only the best football players, and the other only the best bridge players. All right, in Christiana, they claim to live in a world of fairness and equality. So my item number 3, fairness. Oh my goodness. When will these people grow up? Fair is an annual celebratory event. There's no fairness in life, but they attempt to find it in Christiana. Well, fair to whom? For what? Based on what measure? I mean, okay, if there is an objective measure of fairness, that means they are consulting a higher being, because between humans, each person has their own version of fairness. But I guess they've found one in Christiana. Sounds like a rather religious place to me. Item number 4, equality. This should have you thinking about the pigs in Animal Farm, who are more equal than the other animals. And that is what has happened in Christiana. First, what about the committee members who determine whether you're good enough to join the club? They already are more equal than the other members. Item number 5, no taxes. Gee, that would be nice. More on that later. Let's get on to number 6. Number 6, having their own laws. Oh, they do have laws, just their own laws. But if there are no taxes, who pays for making and enforcing the laws? Item number 7, quoting the article again, quote, who have all agreed to live by a certain set of principles, end quote. Oh boy, here it comes. Haven't we all agreed to live by a certain set of principles? We call them laws. They call them principles. This podcast is going to continue for a few more minutes, but I'll make the main point now and again later. Every group has some sort of principles. In a fallen world, we can't all do what we want, politically nor economically. My observation about Christiana is that they may have more stringent rules than the folks who live just across the bridge in Copenhagen. Let's continue. I think I'm at number 8. Quote, this country within a city within a country is a vibrant, fun, and often controversial area that has worked with the local government to stake its claim on the land and be recognized as free, says Ms. Kirk in her article. Okay, so it has worked with the local government. That means it must have something like a Secretary of State who bridges, get the word, bridges, Christiana with Copenhagen. Quoting from the article again, quote, tourists are very welcome to visit, of course, but there are rules. Oh boy, here it comes. I'm on item number 9. One of the rules is zero violence. But then how are people kept in compliance with all these rules? What if a person refuses to follow the many rules of Christiana? Number 10, the community doesn't allow guns. Well, lots of communities don't allow guns. Item number 11, quote, it does not allow bulletproof vests, end quote. Hold it. If there are no guns, why would anyone want a bulletproof vest? And how is the rest of the community harmed by someone wearing a bulletproof vest? Seems like these free-living hippies are pretty schoolmarmish when it comes to making unnecessary rules. I'm at item number 12. They don't allow hard drugs. Oh, so the only thing they have gained by separating themselves from Copenhagen is the use of marijuana. Oh, that's legal in a lot of places these days. And these hippies are way behind the curve. They're not progressive at all. Matter of fact, they could be considered rather conservative. I'm at item number 13. No gang colors are allowed. They really are restrictive in Christiana. Think about it. On the Copenhagen side of the bridge, you can wear any color you want. Matter of fact, I doubt if you can find any country, province, or city who has a rule against wearing a certain color. Do they have clothing police? And what exactly are gang colors? Do they hold up a color swatch to determine if your shade of orange is gang or not gang? And of course, they maintain a list of gang colors. They have to. Look, these guys spend more time maintaining their laws than just about any place in the world. Item 14, no stealing. Seems like a pretty good rule, but it's not very original. God gave that one to Moses as his number 8 about 3,500 years ago. I wonder how they punish thieves since there are no taxes to pay the police and violence is not allowed. Another question, how'd they get the land and the buildings? They stole them from the Danish government where no stealing is allowed. Item number 15, and I'm only halfway done. Another rule in Christiana is to not run. You've got to be kidding. I would think running would be a sign of joy, but not to the apparatchiks in Christiana. They assume that running means there's something to run away from, and the culture of fear is something they like to avoid. So how do people stay fit in Christiana? Item 16, no cars allowed either. Everyone gets around on bikes. Well, they're not allowed in Venice, Italy either. It might be a good idea, but I'm guessing that many of the products consumed in Christiana are transported by trucks and cars to the bridge that leads to the enclave. Item 17, you also can't take pictures. Really? Why? I mean, is the town full of convicts avoiding the law? You know, if it's such a peaceful, wonderful place, why would they not allow pictures? And you're wondering how I'm showing you pictures on this podcast. Discrimination again. Some people are allowed to take pictures, others aren't. Animal Farm? Okay, now the article by Ms. Kirk really gets humorous. By my count, it's right after Rule 17, where the article says, quote, otherwise, you're free to do as you please. So my item number 18, again from the article, quote, smoking marijuana is a big part of the lifestyle in Christiana, end quote. Well, it is in many parts of the world. No big deal. But here's where it gets interesting because the article says, quote, police raids are frequent, end quote. Hold it. What police? Without taxes, who pays the police? Number 19, continuing from the article. And while police may turn a blind eye to residents sampling some weed, they won't stand it from tourists and you can be slapped with a fine or arrested, end quote. Oh, that's blatant discrimination. You couldn't get away with that type of overt discrimination in most parts of the civilized world. Item number 20. I just read, quote, you could be arrested, end quote, but apparently without the use of violence. I don't know what happens if you resist. Item 21, quoting again, the cafes are chic. Cafes? What cafes? Follow me on a thought experiment here. If my co-author Sergei Seidamatov and I walked into a cafe and stated that we were going to set up a cafe in that building, who would stop us? How could the proprietor show us proof of the ownership of the building? It belongs to the Danish military. And if he has a lease, who signed it? And if I contested his lease, what court would hear the case? How could the proprietor, who is a squatter, by the way, show just cause for him to run a restaurant there instead of Sergei and I? Animal Farm. Item 22. The cafes sell for less than in Copenhagen. Well, yeah. If you have no capital cost for the land nor the building and there's no taxes, I would think cost would be much lower. And what about fairness that they claim to want? I wonder how the competing cafes across the bridge in Copenhagen feel about this. Doesn't seem quite fair, does it? Continuing, item number 23. The article encourages you to, quote, find a spot outside on a big wooden table and relax, end quote. Outside in Denmark in January, the average high temperature is 38 degrees Fahrenheit. And who paid for the table? Did it just grow itself like a tree? Item number 24. Quote, you may think Christiana is hated in Copenhagen, but you'd be very wrong. Many Danes view it as a successful community thanks to its values. Meditation and yoga are popular there. It's very green and eco-friendly, a hub for artists and entrepreneurs, and a place for drug addicts to go. The last one may sound strange, but they're accepted in Christiana, as are others who think alternatively, end quote. Okay, here's the point. Yes, you can think alternatively. You cannot act alternatively. If you want to do that, you need to escape this strict environment by walking across the bridge back into Copenhagen. Item 25, and I'm almost done. They say drug addicts are able to recover in Christiana. Oh, so they are judging others by saying that there's something wrong with being a drug addict. Geez, they could learn a lot of tolerance from my Baptist friends. Item 26, there's a station for swapping and sharing goods. The rest gets recycled. Oh yeah? Where? Do they have a paper and aluminum recycling facility on the island? Probably not. They rely on the folks across the bridge for that, as they do for so many of their products and services. Item 27, quote from the article again, they gather rainwater and store it in tanks. They have composting toilets in areas that aren't connected to the sewage system, end quote. Hold it. There's a sewage system? How is that paid for in a no-tax environment? Item number 28, quote, many buildings are fitted with solar panels or windmills, end quote, neither of which do any good in January. So let's assume they get electricity from, are you ready to help me by now? Across the bridge in Copenhagen. Maybe here's part of our answer, quoting the article again. There's even a communal bathhouse that gets hot water from solar panels in the summer, end quote. So, or do we assume they have no hot water the other 9 months of the year? Number 29. Okay, get ready to laugh. Quote, they've committed to composting and even have smell police who go around to make sure everyone is doing it properly, end quote. They may be the only community in the world that polices smell. These hippies have more restrictive rules than any place on the planet. And who pays the smell police? And what power do they have to enforce their rules since they can't use violence? All right, I'm at my last point. Number 30. Quote, the community's hippie roots have fostered a movement of caring for the planet and ways to make it work in daily life, end quote. Well, of course it works. These people have agreed to live by a colossal set of rules. If you follow all of those rules, yeah, it works. Okay, I'll stop at 30. There you have it. Christiana, the Freetown that has more restrictive rules than perhaps any place on the planet. James Madison was correct. Men are not angels. Every organization has a system of rules. I've often told my class at Dallas Baptist University, You can change economic policy. You can't change economic law. Economics is the study of the production and distribution of goods and services in a scarce environment. Goods will get produced and distributed. We can only set rules that determine how that happens. I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. Fear God, tell the truth, earn a profit. See you next time. For more information, please visit us online at davearnott.com. If you have questions or suggestions for future podcasts, please submit them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.